Do you want to learn new skills but find the process slow and frustrating? Most people think that brilliant inventors are just born different. But the truth is, mastering complex skills is a trainable process. You can actually train your brain to learn faster and more effectively. In this video, I'll show you the science behind how your brain learns. We'll cover a step-by-step framework that most successful inventors follow to deconstruct complex topics, master them, and still innovate. By the end, you'll have a set of exercises that trigger changes in your brain, literally strengthening the neural pathways that make you a faster, more effective learner. Let's dive in! Section 1 is the inventor's brain. First, let's talk about the science. Your brain itself is plastic, meaning it rewires itself based on how you use it. When you challenge your brain in a specific, structured way, you can literally trigger powerful changes. Think of it like installing better hardware in your brain for learning. So if you want to master a new skill, you don't just repeat information and hope it sticks. You train your brain for deep understanding, just like athletes train their muscles for top performance. Most of us are taught to learn by following a recipe. We get a textbook or a tutorial and we follow it step by step. This is learning by analogy. We look at what has been done before and we replicate it. The problem is that this only teaches you the surface layer. You learn the what, but you completely miss the why. You're like a cook who can follow a recipe perfectly but can't create a new dish from scratch. A chef, on the other hand, understands the fundamental principles of cooking. They know how heat, acid, salt, and fat interact. They can walk into any kitchen and invent something new because they have a deep foundational knowledge. Successful inventors are the chefs of their fields. They don't just copy what's been done before, they work from the ground up. This method, as Elon Musk calls it, is first principles thinking. Section 2 is the 3-step process for mastery. So how exactly do you go from being the cook to the chef in your own skill journey? It boils down to a repeatable 3-step process. These are exercises that will feel like weightlifting for your brain. Exercise 1. Deconstruct the problem. The first exercise is to take the skill you want to master and break it down into its smallest fundamental pieces. You have to get past the jargon and common wisdom until you're left with only the fundamental truths. Here's how you do it. Let's take Elon's rocket as an example. When he wanted to build rockets, everyone knew that it was incredibly expensive to build a rocket. That was the accepted reality. But Musk deconstructed the problem. He asked, what is a rocket actually made of? It's made of specific metal alloys, copper, and carbon fiber. Then he asked, what is the cost of those materials on the open market? When he did the math, he calculated that the cost of the raw materials was only about 2% of the total overall rocket cost. By deconstructing the problem, he realized the high cost was not a fundamental law of economics. It was a result of how things had always been done. Elon found the real problem hidden beneath the assumed one. Let's try it with a different example. Public speaking, let's say. The conventional approach is to watch others speak and just copy them. The first principles approach is to deconstruct it. What is it, really? It's transmitting an idea from your mind to the minds of others. What are its fundamental parts? 1. The message itself, the content. 2. The delivery, your voice and pacing. 3. Your body language, your physical presence. Now you have the real building blocks to work with. Exercise 2 is identifying the core principles. Next, let's talk about identifying what's essential. Once you have all the pieces, you filter them to find the core principles. These are the foundational rules that govern the system. In the rocket example, the core principles are the laws of physics. You can't ignore gravity. You can't change the fundamental properties of aluminum. These were Elon's constraints. Everything else, the manufacturing process, the supply chain, the organization, was a human choice, and therefore it could be challenged and rebuilt. For our public speaking example, what are the core principles? A core principle of holding attention is that the human brain responds to novelty and story. A core principle of delivery is that varying your vocal tone keeps the audience attentive. These aren't just opinions, they're grounded in human psychology. This exercise forces you to cut through the fluff and identify what's truly essential. Exercise 3. Reconstruct from the ground up. This is where real innovation happens. You take the fundamental truths and the core principles you've outlined, and you start building your own solution from scratch. This is what Elon did with SpaceX. He took his understanding of material costs and the laws of physics and reconstructed the entire process of building a rocket, bringing manufacturing in-house and pioneering reusability. He built a new solution from the ground up, and in doing so, he changed the entire industry. For our public speaker, they would need to reconstruct their own authentic style. Instead of copying someone, they would use core principles. They would focus on crafting a compelling story, the principle of attention, and constantly use open body language, the principle of presence. They are engineering an experience for the audience based on a deep understanding of the fundamentals. Section 3. The biological payoff. How your brain rewires itself. Now, why does this process lead to such rapid learning? The reason isn't just psychological, it's deeply biological. The intense, structured focus required by this 3-step process is a powerful trigger for neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to reorganize itself. Here's what happens on a biological level. First, when you engage in this deep focused thinking, you enter a state of peak performance, often called flow. In this state, the brain circuits responsible for the skill you're mastering become a supercharged highway of electrical activity. Your brain is dedicating an immense amount of coordinated energy to solving the problem. But here's where the real magic lies: myelination. Think of the connections in your brain as wiring. Myelin is the fatty insulation that wraps around the wiring. The more layers of myelin, the faster, more efficient the signals travel. When you engage in this intense, focused practice, your brain responds by wrapping more layers of myelin around the already activated neural circuits. You are literally upgrading your brain's hardware. It's the difference between having a slow dial-up connection and a fast fiber optic line. The skill you're learning becomes faster, smoother, and more automatic. This is why masters of a craft can perform complex tasks so effortlessly. The neural pathways for that skill have been highly myelinated. Finally, what fuels this entire biological engine is a sense of purpose. This motivation triggers the release of key neuromodulators in the brain like dopamine. They signal to your brain that what you're doing is important, which amplifies your focus and accelerates this physical rewiring process. So in conclusion, how do you actually master new skills faster? Not by waiting for inspiration, but training your brain with the right exercises. Here's your toolkit: deconstruction, breaking a problem down to its fundamental truths, identifying core principles, finding the essential, non-negotiable rules, and reconstruction, building your own solution from the ground up. If you practice these consistently, your brain literally rewires itself for mastery. But if you want to go deeper, I have 2 courses that will make you able to master any skill and master the skill of invention, development, and manufacturing. My courses walks you through everything you need to know to become a master of a skill yourself, just like I mastered invention development. So if you're serious about mastering new skills, click the link in my description and get one of my courses. Because becoming an expert isn't a gift, it's a skill. And with the right training, you can master it too.